The pages like 70, page number 76. Yes, very less participant today. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about the first unit from the block 3, that is culture in language. Okay. Now in this title we have two words. One is culture, another one is language. Okay. The first word is culture. So can anybody tell me what do we actually mean by the term culture? Any one of you would like to contribute or say something regarding what is culture? Hi Ramakrishna. Good evening. Well, the word culture is easy to understand but difficult to define, right? Why am I saying this one is because the word culture include not only one particular aspect of our life, but also it includes a lot of things. Someone is presenting something. Anyway, if you want to present the chapter, you can present. Anyway, it will be good or helpful for someone. So today we are going to talk about the relevance of culture and language together. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Just a minute. There is a problem. Maybe a technical glitch over here. Just a minute. Okay, so let's talk about the culture and the categories of culture, the complexities of culture, and also the different approaches towards culture. Now, why we have title? We have a title like culture in language or language in culture. Why it is termed like so? So we will discuss all these things together. So first of all, what we have to understand is that what is culture? What is the place of culture, and what is the place of language in it? Isn't it? Maybe in the beginning. In the first 2 or 3 classes, we had a reference regarding the word that is culture. We said that, okay, whatever a person is doing since the beginning of his career, since the beginning of his life till now, or wherever he is staying, be it a society, be it a coterie, be it a, you can say that, okay, linguistic circle, everything that we do, a behavior, a customs, a way of life, general rules, all these things are actually part of culture. So we can simply define culture as the shared patterns of behavior, interactions, cognitive constructs, affective understandings like emotional attachments that we have from one person to another, and that are learned through the process of socialization. So socialization is the process through which we learn all the cultural artifacts or cultural behaviors. Now, in the beginning, I said that okay, culture is easy to identify but difficult to define. It is difficult to define only because it includes everything. Not a single aspect of our life is excluded from the term culture. And when we are talking about culture, it's compulsory. When we are talking about culture, it's compulsory to take the word language into account. Okay. Now, why that is important? Because think for once that you're holding your breath for at least 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute to the termination point when you are releasing your breath. Suppose you're holding your breath for 1 minute, and at the end, what you will feel is that your breath is of the utmost important in your life than anything else. In the 60th second, you will realize that in your entire life, nothing is important except the breath. And once you will release that, you will feel a kind of relief. Similarly, suppose you are in a station, maybe in a public place where there is a lot of gatherings, people are talking, and you are simply numb. You are acting like a dumb, you don't know any language, and suppose you have to communicate with persons, and suddenly you feel that you don't have any language, you don't have any sign language as well. How will you feel? If you will feel completely a living dead. So that's why I said that, okay, there is an inherent connection between the terms language and culture. When we are talking about culture, when we are expressing ourselves that we belong to a particular culture, without language, it's impossible to express or locate ourselves to a particular category or group, society, or in broader terms, a culture. As culture is important to know about a language, because when you are talking about language, it is also important that okay, you are looking into the cultural aspects. Suppose you are learning English language, this is the second language, maybe the third language of all of us, and when you are learning this language, you won't be able to understand the sentiments, the cognitions, the affective things like emotional aspects until and unless you will also be acquainted yourself with the culture to which this particular language is belonging. I am a person from West Bengal. I am a person living right now in Hyderabad. The language is different from my mother tongue to this mother tongue, right? It's Telugu and mine is Bengali. Now I'm speaking in English. See the differences. We have one universal culture. That is the one that is Indian culture. But within ourselves, we have several miniature cultures which may differ from the mainstream culture. And it's only because of the language. Suppose a person is constantly scolding you using abusive languages. You won't be able to understand the language until and unless you are acquainted with that particular culture or the way of expressing a particular word. So suppose a man is scolding me using abusive languages and I don't know that language, even don't know about that culture. So what I will do is that looking at his behavior, maybe I will be laughing. I'll be enjoying that this man is going mad because I don't know the language. Only when I will understand the language, I will become offensive, right? So see the dependency of the culture and the language. So it's the language that is actually building our life. It's the language that is actually creating our surroundings, our cultural nomenclature, or the cultural identity is being built by the language. And as I already mentioned you that culture is a broader term which never exclude anything you are part of. So language is also part of culture. So when you are talking about culture, you can't remove this particular entity called language from that cultural identity. Is this particular phenomena clear to you? That both language and culture depends to each other on each other in a reciprocal, or you can in a mutual way. Okay, no one can be separated from each other.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, open degree or regular degree classes, sir?
This is regular degree classes.
Sorry, sir. Okay, sir.
Why? Did you not attend any of my classes earlier?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hope you have understood the interdependence or these two terms, that is culture in language and language in culture. Now, there are certain miniatures or minor things that we have to understand while we are explaining about culture. That is, what are the complexities of culture? Small or short questions will be asked in your exam, like describe the complexity in the notion of culture. Now, what is the complexity? Now, sometimes what happens, maybe in your society, there is a upper caste in terms of class system, there is a middle class, and there is a lower class. Based on our financial growth, based on our educational growth, our standard of life, all these things. Now, one man can say that, okay, this person is not a cultured person. He's not a cultured person, and that man is going to be included into the group as called cultured person, right? So we have two dichotomies, binaries, that one day we will call this man is cultured, other day we will say that, okay, this man is not cultured. So a man can be in the beginning not cultured, but gradually he will try to learn the etiquettes, the behaviors, the norms, the rules, the values, and he will become cultured. Now, this cultured or uncultured kind of notions or the complexities differed from field to field. We have several genres, we have several aspects, several schools. In terms of that, we can say that in literature and aesthetics, culture is an intellectual and artistic effort defined so exclusively that very few people qualify as being cultured. So in in literature and aesthetic, literature means it can be Telugu literature, it can be world literature, it can be, Indian literature. In any literature, few of the people are called culture because they have to cross a big ocean to become a cultured person. Okay, so we have a very few in number, those who qualify as cultured, but in some other disciplines, some disciplines are so broad, so benevolent that include everybody, as cultured. Those people are, those streams, those fields are so liberal that they include everybody. In others as well, some people are called civilized, some are called barbaric, some are called black, some are called white, some are called savage, some are called civilized. These dichotomies are the complexities in the notion of culture. And these complexities has been created by the people, those who are in the position of ruling a particular country or the entire earth. You got it? So when someone will ask you to describe the complexities in the notion of culture, you have to simply say the dichotomy that we have in our societies and in our culture. You can simply give an example of the rural life and the in the urban life. In urban society, the language that we use in Hyderabad, maybe in Telugu version, there is a standard language in Telugu, and there is also a common language that is a variation that is being used by the people, those who are staying in rural areas. So there will be a difference. There will be a kind of ups and down in this language. So maybe the rural language is not cultured one, but the language that is being used by the people who are living in Hyderabad and the metropolitan cities, that being called as cultured. So you can give that example as well based on your own mother tongues, right? Now, there are also certain approaches in the study of culture and language. As for example, we have anthropologist, we have sociologist, and we also have psychology. So in different fields, in different theories have given their own approaches to talk about culture, to deal with culture. So according to anthropology, who are the people called as anthropologists? Do you know? Have you ever heard of this term anthropology? Have you ever heard of the term anthropology? No, right? Anthropology is actually anthro means humans. Pology, it means that the study of humans and human society, human culture, all these things, right? So the people, those who are dealing with human, their culture, their society, these people look at culture as synonymous with language. Now, these people says that, okay, language and culture are synonymous. Now, in the beginning, I also mentioned when we were talking about the, aspects of language, and we also talk about the cultural, the features of language. We said that, okay, synonymous, character, antonyms, and were also there. So when we are saying that, okay, culture is synonymous, that simply doesn't mean that, okay, what is culture and what is language, both will be 100% equal. It's not true. But yes, culture can be synonymous. They consider language as a tool to study culture, because without language we can't study culture, and also without language we can't express it, that we belong to this culture, that culture, we are following this culture. So language is, you can say, the pen that we are using to change the world. So pen is sometimes mightier than the sword, right? So similarly, this language is using as a pen, or you can say as a sword, to conquer the world, to express yourself throughout the world. Okay. Then we have sociologistic point of view approach that look culture as synonymous with civilization. Psychology emphasizes the learning aspect of culture and places emphasis on the individual rather than the society. Now, in anthropology and also sociology, they talk about civilization, the society, in a group. But in psychology, in psychiatries, these people always focus on the one single entity. So here in psychology, culture is actually emphasizing on one individual rather than the society, or rather than the group of which a person or a man or woman is part of. Okay, so these are some of the approaches that we can have over here. Some of the categories we also have. We have two categories in culture, that is behavioral culture and achievement culture. Now, what is the achievement culture? Sometimes maybe you are going to watch a cultural feast. Maybe you are attending to a cultural event that is going on near by your place. And also day to day, you are talking, you are communicating, you are acting, you are behaving. All these parts are actually called behavioral culture, which includes as how to negotiate life in society. This includes the forms of greetings, ways of addressing people, manner of behaving while visiting others, how to give compliments, and how to respond to them, and also many more. What we actually do in our daily life. But achievement culture is actually with the architecture, the music, the achievements that we are getting in our culture. Suppose if India is celebrating or winning in a game in Olympic, there it is showing its achievement and its culture. When we are achieving something, when you are showing some achievements in terms of literature, that is your literary achievement, and actually it belongs to the achievement culture. When a person in cricket is scoring a 300 runs or 200 runs or 4,000 or 5,000 runs in a particular tournament, that is also going to become a part of our higher culture, that is high culture, that is the achievement culture. In behavior culture, it's completely about our behaviors, our non-materialistic culture. Okay, it's sometimes also called as material culture, non-material culture. See, the thing is that we have only 2 classes left, today and tomorrow, and we have to finish almost like half of the book. It's not possible. So what you have to do is that you have to read the entire chapters. Those will be remained, because the language is very easy. If you will just go through at least once, one chapter will take hardly 1 hour. Okay, so if you read them, it will be easy for you to understand. Now we were talking about the complexities of the notion of culture, different approaches of culture, categories of culture. Now let's talk about the elements of culture. Now what could be the elements of culture? Can anybody tell me? What could be the elements of culture? Elements of culture are already there, that we have already talked about in the definition of the culture, right? The most important elements are the norms, the values that I have mentioned when I was talking about the behavioral culture. The norms, the values, the beliefs, and the taboos that we have to follow to become a cultured person in a society or in a particular locality. That is what are known as the elements of culture. Now, what are norms? Can anybody tell me what is norm? What is a norm?
The
Okay.
rules.
Yes, the rules to behave in a
How
specific
to behave
manner.
in a specific situation by the members of a culture.
Okay, that's very good. Okay. Norms are actually sometimes it's abstract, sometimes it's written. Okay, sometimes the norms has been written, because we have a parliament, we have a preamble, we also have a Supreme Court, right? So we have some rules has been written in articles, in form of articles in there, but everything cannot be categorized, right? Because after all, we are humans and we cannot behave accordingly following certain strict rules. So certain norms are there that actually hits our sense, our common sense, our 5 senses. And based on that, we follow particular patterns. We behave in a specific situation in a specific manner to show that, okay, we are cultured, to show that, okay, we are behaving properly. Suppose an ice cream seller is going selling his ice creams nearby your places. If you are behaving like the kid who is crying up to pursue an ice cream, and you're also behaving in the same way, that will not show you in a correct position into the culture. So when you know that, okay, because you are an elder citizen, you have certain responsibilities, you have certain limits to behave in a way, you won't cry, you won't actually become stubborn to take ice cream like a kid who is doing that one. So that makes us different, and these rules are actually not written. These are experienced rules that we are experiencing staying in a particular culture. And this can be a universal phenomena that can happen in any culture, in any linguistic circle barrier. So that's what is a norm. Now, what are the values? Values are some of the judgments that we possess, that this may be good, this may not be good, this is better, this is best. So when we are attaching a value, a degree towards a particular thing, that's what is known as value. And beliefs are the strict, assumptions, you can say. Strict assumptions or die-hard assumptions regarding a particular thing. So beliefs are convictions that people hold to be true, and taboos are something that is strongly prohibited in a particular society, in a culture, right? So these are some of the things which are the elements, or you can say the pillars, to erect a particular culture. If in a particular culture you won't find norms, values, beliefs, and taboos, and certain rules regarding all these things, that culture will not be called or qualify as a good culture or a high culture. Isn't that? Now, maybe in an exam, you will be asked that, okay, discuss briefly about the elements of culture. Then you have to talk about the elements, and you have to also briefly describe each of them, that how it is actually existing in a culture. Now, the next point is ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Now, what is ethnocentrism? Ethnic means a person who is conscious about his own ethnicity. Ethnicity means his own tribe, his own society, own culture. Now, these two terms, ethnocentrism and cultural relativism, are actually, one is a cause, another one is a result. Or you can say one is a problem, another one is a solution. You can say also one is a disease, another one is a ointment. Okay. Now, what is ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism is actually a negative term, but we sometimes use it positively. To be, very careful about your own culture, to be secure about your own culture is very good sometimes, but it's in a broader aspect, it's not good. Okay. So ethnocentrism is actually a belief or attitude of certain people in a society or in a culture who believes that, okay, their culture is far more better than the other person's culture. And when you are doing such kind of mistakes, when you are committing such kind of beliefs and holding it for a long time in your mind, you are actually damaging your own value in a particular society. You are actually narrowing down your mind. You're bounding yourself in a particular circle. And here we have a term called nationalism. Nowadays in India, nationalism, the term is very, very famous because of certain political groups, right? And this ethnocentrism and nationalism had same kind of derogatory meaning. Let me give you a brief example, right? In the political scenario of India, people are being, the political leaders sometimes failing the people, giving certain, prizes, maybe some picnics, parties, 500 rupees, 600 rupees, and they're actually trying to mobilizing the people around us to create a kind of division in terms of that, okay, this person is talking like this, that means he is not a nationalist, he's an anti-national. And if you are supporting the government, you are actually becoming a nationalist. Now, the definition is itself is a wrong one. When you are talking about nationalism, when you're talking about ethnocentrism, nationalism means we are talking about the entire country and its own identity. When we are talking about ethnocentrism, we are talking about our own culture, where we are belonging, and our own society. So nationalism is a broader term which includes entire country. Ethnocentrism is taking one particular sector of a country or a state or a particular domicile, right? So as ethnocentrism is a crime, similarly, nationalism is also a crime. Let me give you a brief example, right? How will you differentiate India in the map of the entire world? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me that how
Can you
will you
repeat your question, Mr. Sin?
Yes, how will you differentiate India in the map of the world, or how will you differentiate your own state among the other states of India?
By the geo-positioning of it, I mean the geographical locationing.
By the geographical location, right? That's true. Now, there are certain other terms. Okay, that's very good. That's very good answer. Okay. So basically, there is another term which is called philanthropist. Okay. And a philanthropist believes that the entire world is his own home, and he can believe that he's the part of the entire world. If you are not a philanthropist, then you are definitely a nationalist. And a nationalist is always, you can say that, a virus of that particular country. When you are saying that you are a nationalist, you are bounded to hate other countries nearby to your structure that is actually surrounding your particular country, that is India. If you are an Indian and if you are a nationalist, you are going to hate other countries like America, other countries like Japan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, all these countries, and especially Pakistan. Why not we talk about this one? Isn't that? So this is the basic formula of nationalism. So that's why there are certain philosophers who have said, even Rabindranath Tagore, in one of his essay written on nationalism, he has said that, okay, if you are categorizing or putting yourself in a self or in a veil, you won't see the outer world. So don't differentiate yourself in terms of calling you as a nationalist or an ethnocentricist. Become so liberal that, okay, you are not judging your own country based on your own values. When you are judging your country based on your own values, that is true, that's fine. But when you are showing this one to somebody else who doesn't belong to your country, doesn't belong to your ethnicity or your culture, and you are judging others' culture, others' country, others' territory based on your own values that you have, that's a crime. And that's you are not supposed to do. Okay? That's how the term cultural relativism arrived. When ethnocentrism is there, ethnocentrism is actually narrowing down your mind to think about the surroundings around you and the world around you. Now, this cultural relativism talks about that you are not supposed to be so narrow-minded that you will only judge others' cultures, others' societies, others' territories based on the value that you have in your own culture. So when you are judging others, you judge them based on their own cultural values, not by yours. Okay, this is a kind of cultural misunderstanding or conflict that creates. That's what I wanted to mean. Now there are certain terms that has been explained in this chapter at the end. You can say here cultural shock, subculture. In page number 18, if you'll go to page number 8 not 18, 80, there will be some terms like cultural shock, subculture. Then we have cultural diffusion, globalization, cultural nation. All these terms are actually related to the use of language and culture together. So sometimes in Hindi, there is a term, kuye ka mendak. Have you heard of this phrase?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Kuye ka mendak means, mendak is a frog. Kuye means whale, right? Or you can simply talk about a tunnel or a whale. So if you are living, maybe suppose if your world, if the world of the frog is being classified, also you can say that, okay, marked by a territory, or maybe if you're putting a frog in a bucket, and if it is thinking that this entire bucket is the entire world, there is nothing beyond this bucket of water. And if you are believing also that this, the world in which I am, is the best world, and if someone is coming on the brink of your bucket and is saying you that, okay, your world is so narrow, you are not supposed to fight back. Rather, you have to realize that maybe there is a better world. So when you are actually narrowing your mind and you are believing that where you are is the best one, and you are not accepting the other's point of view, and if you're going in another culture and you are staying there for a couple of months, a couple of days, you will feel terribly alienated, dislocated, and frustrated. That is what is known as cultural shock. That happens only because of ethnocentrism, ethnocentric point of view, nationalistic point of view. If you're so, involved in such kind of feeling, if anyone will send you to another culture in terms of, doing particular job or certain educational purpose, you won't be able to stay there. This happens only because of these cultural shocks. And these cultural shocks, heart attack, happen only because of your mind setup that you have grown up till now. So try to become as liberal, as culturally relative as it possible for you, to accept everybody's culture as equal. We have a universal pattern everywhere. We have a universal language. We have a universal culture as well. Isn't that? So that is what is the actual gist of the cracks of this particular chapter, where it is saying that, okay, we use language to express culture, and culture is incomplete without language. Because without language, we can't express what is there in our culture. And without culture, there is no language. There is no existence of language. So the dependency of both of them to each other is very, significant. Okay? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
There are certain questions in page number 82. If you will read the questions only at the end of the chapters, in each of the chapters, there will be certain questions. If you will understand the questions and their explanations, it is enough to complete this chapter. Got it? In page number 82, there are questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 questions are there, and 7 questions is actually talking about the entire chapter. So if you will simply understand the questions and their answers, it will be easy for you to mark up the entire chapter. There are certain other questions for model examination questions paper. You can also think about that after reading the chapter. Okay, like the questions are like, what is ethnocentrism? In question number 4, it is there, like ethnocentrism is an attitude or belief of people that their own culture is best among all cultures, and that the practice of all other cultures are wrong. It is a way of judging and evaluating other people's culture with the values of one's own culture. So it's a kind of crime, right? It's a kind of crime, and if you're doing such kind of crime, you are actually killing yourself, not others. So it's a kind of slow poison that is actually poisoning your mind. Then we have another chapter that is language and culture. We have, briefly tried to discuss about culture in language. Now here we are going to talk about language in culture. Now how or what is the part of the contribution of language in culture? We learned here it completely. And as we also have already discussed about what is language, what is the position of language in culture. So let's directly jump into the topic, that is linguistic relativity. We have talked about cultural relativity, which says that, okay, you have to be liberal. You have to accept each and everybody's culture as a significant one. You are not supposed to judge others based on the values of your own culture. When you are judging someone's culture, you judge it based on their values, their beliefs, their norms, not yours. When you are doing that one, this is what is known as cultural relativism. Now, when we are talking about language and culture, we also have a linguistic relativity, and which is also known as Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Now, there was a person, two persons, Edward Sapir and Edward Lee Whorf. Both of them have given one hypothesis. Hypothesis means you can say like a postulation that this can be happen. If something is going on, if something will be done, the result will be this one, right? Hypothesis is actually a postulation, an educated guess that talks about something will happen in future if something will happen. Okay. So here we have a linguistic relativity or Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which is talking about, or it's actually give a theory which states that language is such an aspect in our life that controls, that determines everything that we do in our life. This is the strongest argument. It has two arguments. One is a strong and the one is a normal argument. So the first one is, both of them said that, okay, the entire world is run by language. If there is no language, the entire world will be changed. So the world that has been created around you through your mind, through your experiences, through your beliefs, everything is because of the language that you are part of, the language that you are using. So this hypothesis is saying that the language determines and influences the way the speakers of language perceive the reality around them. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it has two versions. The two versions are, number one is linguistic categories, or that is the language determine and limit our thought. We cannot know, or we can know about a particular thing only that much our language will give us access to that particular thing. I give you an example that, okay, if somebody is scolding me, using Telugu language, maybe Malayali language that I don't know in totality, I understand few words, few phrases, maybe another language, Spanish language, a person is, rebuking me or scolding me, I will simply laugh at him, or maybe I will be numb, I will be, silent without any reaction. It's all because I don't know the language, that what the person is speaking is not recognizable through the mental faculties that I have. Isn't that? Think about a world without language. People are simply roaming. You can't think about a world. So sometimes there are many theories, many arguments regarding this. This is one of my best or favorite topic, you can say, to think about, to discuss about, regarding the creation of language, the importance of language, and the creation of the world. It's a very interesting topic. The more you will read, the more you will try to understand this one, the more you will become surprised. Okay, so this is one such theory. This theory actually had been given by this man whose name is Edward Sapir and his student Benjamin Lee Whorf. Both of them had given this one. Earlier, there were two concepts given by Noam Chomsky. He's the father of generative linguistics. We will talk about him if we will get time tomorrow. He is in the last chapters where we have grammar, universal grammar, generative grammar, all these things, types of grammar. He's still alive, and he is one of the greatest person right now alive in the world. Okay, because he has given a lot of theories regarding language. So he gave two theories regarding language and its usage. One is called lang, another one is called parole. Now, what is lang? According to him, lang is the mental faculty that we already have, and parole is the use of a particular language. Now, let me give you an example so that it becomes very easy for you to understand. This will also, help you to understand this particular theory or hypothesis. So, according to Noam Chomsky, he says that okay, lang is the mental faculty. Have you ever heard of John Locke? John Locke was a 16th, 17th century thinker. He said that our mind is like a blank slate, tabula rasa. Have you ever heard of this term or phrases? Anyway, leave it. So when a child is actually taking birth, his mind is completely like a blank slate or a blank board. Through the passage of time, through the passage of, through gaining experiences, through meeting with people, to connecting with, knowledges, it actually stores experiences in our brain. Now, the question that was put by this man, Noam Chomsky, was that if it is so that our mind is completely blank, how can a person learn more than one language? How can a person speak, read, and write more than one languages? To be honest, I born in a Bengali family. I know Bengali, I know Hindi, I know Oriya, I know Assamese, I know Jharkhandi, I understand partially Telugu, I speak English. So all these languages, almost 7 languages, and if I'm not wrong, I also am a good speaker of Urdu and writer of that one as well. So 8 languages. So if my mind was blank, and mind can only be filled after experiences, how can a person is learning all these languages together in one life only? That was the question that he put. So the thing he come up with was that we have a universal grammar. And in universal grammar, he said 2 terms, that is lang and parole. In lang is actually the mental faculties or the abilities that has been provided or given during or before our birth by the creator, can be anyone. Am I audible to you?
Your voice is breaking, but now it is okay.
Okay, actually a call was coming, so that's why.
No
Sorry.
problem, that's fine.
Okay. So according to him, he's saying that, okay, when we are taking birth, we have a mind, we have a faculties in our brain that has been gifted by the creator. And it is because of that mental abilities, we can understand, learn in number of languages. A person can learn throughout his life almost all the languages that we have right now in the world, but it's not possible, right? It takes some time, more than 1 or 2 or 3 lives. So, but it's true that, okay, we can learn all the languages if you want. And it's all because of the mental faculties that has been given, even if you believe in God or not, but there is a creator Maybe it's the nature. Those who doesn't believe in God, they simply can say that there is a creator, and maybe it's the nature or the superpower that is actually controlling the entire world. So that power has given certain power in our mind to understand, examine, learn, and teach a language or the things. So according to him, this lang is the mental abstract abilities, that is abstract, unwritten, unfounded. We have that one, only then we have this parole. Parole means it's a practice. When you are practicing those mental abilities, abstract knowledges, grammar, rules, all these things that has been given in your mind. Because when you are taking birth, your mother will teach you only few sentences, few phrases. But wherever you in a situation, you can utter your own phrases, your own sentences. You can create it in your own. But how you are doing that one? Using your mental faculties, abilities, right? So based on that, according to Noam Chomsky, we have that one. And that's why we have Lang and Perel. And after that, these two men, Edward Sapir and Benjamin Lee Hobbes, gave this theory that, okay, our entire world is being determined or limited to our thought because of our language. It gives or tremendously influence our thought, our belief, our habits, everything is being tremendously influenced by the language that we are part of. Nowadays, if I'm not wrong, we are accepting every kind of expressions, right? Nowadays, we are using in number of sign languages. Nowadays, we are also trying to translate. Translate, what can I say, that the vulgar words that we have in our language. We are also accepting the language that we are getting throughout the networking world, the social world. We are also accepting the words that is being thrown by the Western people. So we are actually mutually accepting them and using them in our life. So this is that acceptance is only because of this influence of language. When you are trying to read a difficult thing and you are understanding it, relating to the knowledge that you already have in your mind, you will feel very elevated. You will feel very happy. And when you are feeling happy, it's all because of the language that is creating in your mind. Because the language made you feel happy, because you got understood that thing because of the language. Isn't that? So I would like to ask you to think about these aspects, that the entire world is being ruled out, run, created, you can say that functioned by language. If there is no language, the entire world will change, suddenly change, upside down. So think about these theories, this hypothesis. This doesn't mean that, okay, this is the fixed hypothesis. You can also come up with your new hypothesis. You can also, hypothesis means something that is not true or not even accepted. Most of the people can be accepting it as a true, but hypothesis is itself, the term is self-declarative, that is, it's not a truth. It's not valid. People are accepting it, people are not accepting it. So you will find some supporters, some anti-supporters as well. If you have certain things or arguments regarding this, version of hypothesis, you can come up with that one as well. Okay. So next, tomorrow we will talk about certain other things, like what is there is a term called language universal. Then we will talk about the cultural coding, cultural encoding is there. Then we have cohesion, semantic cohesion. So some of the aspects will be there that we will talk about, and then we'll move into the next chapter. next module, that is maybe grammar. Regarding grammar, I hope. No, not grammar. It's about dialect, sociolect, style, register, idiolect, code switching. So these are some of the part of pragmatics. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, if possible. Tomorrow I will try to extend the class from 3 to 4 p.m. to 4:30. Okay. Half an hour will be extended if it is permissible from your side. Only then I'll continue.
No problem at all.
Okay. So you can go through the third unit of this chapter that is related to, I think, that is related to the relevance of culture in communication. It's a very easy one. You do not have to think about much of them. There are certain terms like kinesics, proxemics, body adornment, high culture, low culture. If you will read it once at least, and you come up with certain questions, if you have, I will talk about it. Okay, so that we can finish in a very short time. We can at least cover as much as we can. Okay. If you have any query regarding this one, you can ask. Otherwise, we will leave today.
We are good, sir.
Okay, so you can leave. If you have any other class, you can join into that one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hello.